Hey everyone, this is Steli FD with Closer, and in today's video I'm going to talk about how to turn around an underperforming sales team. So recently I was approached by a founder that was very unhappy about the sales team they had, and more importantly about the performance of the sales team. And they got to the conclusion that the problem was the sales team. And he asked me, Steli, how do I turn around a sales team that sucks and that doesn't do a good job? Now, obviously, there's a lot of context that you need to know before you're able to answer that question, and we had a long conversation about this, but I thought that some of the basic tactics that I shared with him would be tactics that might be useful and valuable to people out there. And if you have that problem and you want to dig deeper after watching this video or reading this blog post, just shoot me an email at steli@close.io and we can talk with a lot more context. But how do you turn around an underperforming team, especially in sales? Well, it's simple. You start with the question, why? You might have to ask the 5 whys, right? If you're not familiar with that framework, it's quite simple. Instead of just going to the surface level of the problem, you try to dig really deep and get to the root cause of the issue. And the tactic that you use to get there is to ask at least 5 whys. So if it's like, my sales team sucks, then my question is why? Because they don't work hard enough. And then you ask, why? Why don't they work hard enough? Well, because I think that they're all really lazy. Okay, why do you think these people are so lazy? And why did you hire them if they're so lazy? Well, we just, hired the first 5 people that applied here because we wanted to hire people as fast as possible. Huh. And now again, you can ask, why? Why was speed such a big thing? Why did you have to hire people so fast? Well, because, our revenue numbers are not going well and we have to close another funding round in about 2 months. So we thought hiring a bunch of salespeople and getting them to boost up our sales would be a solution to raise more money. Now, in this case, I could actually ask a few more whys, but you get the idea. I'm actually getting to the really root cause of the issue. The root cause of the issue is not the salespeople suck. I mean, they might, but the root cause of this issue is that, I would ask why are the revenue numbers that bad, but the root cause is that, we hired the wrong people and we did it for the wrong reasons, and maybe our business is overall in trouble in a way that a bunch of salespeople can't fix, right? This might be one scenario. There's, yours will vary, but the main point is that you want to really dig into the root cause of the issue. Why is this team underperforming? What are truly the reasons for underperforming teams? And let's break this off to simplify it into 2 main categories. One category can be that there's something wrong with your business. There's something wrong with your product. There's something wrong with what you're trying to sell that a salesperson itself can't fix. So in this case, it's not about the sales team. It's not about the salespeople. It's about what makes them perform poorly is your product and your company, right? And this is a hard truth to accept and to even realize. A lot of founders and a lot of companies will be blind to that. But the simple question is, have you ever had any proof that what you're selling can be sold successfully? Have you sold it successfully? Does anybody else on your team has ever had success selling this thing? Do you have any indication that this can be sold successfully? Because if the answer is no, it may or may not be the salespeople, and more likely it might be you or your company, your business, your product. If the answer is yes, and you can say, yes, I've sold this very successfully, or other people before these salespeople, before my current sales team, have had success selling this, then, and this is overly simplifying this, but just as a quick test, then it might be not the product of the company. Maybe it really is about the sales team. If it is about the sales team, there's typically 3 core reasons why the sales team is underperforming. You either hired the wrong people, made the wrong hires, you have created the wrong culture, a culture that's really toxic, a culture that is really pushing people to underperform, that takes really their inspiration, motivation away from them. or you have created the wrong structures and incentives. So it's either the wrong people, wrong culture, or wrong process and incentives. It's one of these three things, or a combination of all three things. If I talk about the wrong hires, not everybody is going to be successful as a salesperson for what you're trying to do. And again, there's two buckets, right? There's people that are just not made for sales. And there's people that could be good at selling a certain type of product, but just not yours, right? They're just not, they would be amazing at high level, prestigious enterprise sales, but what you're selling is, a $2 product that's being sold to, I don't know, grandmothers or to small and medium-sized businesses. It's just a type of sale that they're not inspired to, motivated to, made for, hence why their performance is poor. So it could be that it's not the right salesperson for the type of selling that needs to be done, or it's just not a salesperson. Most people in sales are just not good at selling. So you have to decide if on the wrong hire, if it's about the salesperson or if it's about the type of selling, sales cycle, the type of customer, the type of industry and vertical that you're at that really is causing the problem. When it comes to culture, you have to ask yourself, what kind of a culture does our sales team have? Is it really toxic? Is it really aggressive? Are people really working against each other? Are people blaming each other? Are people really demotivated because people that don't really perform well, you still let them stick around and you still pay them their salary and they kind of bring everybody down? Is it a culture where, just people are so different that they don't understand and don't like each other? What is it? What is the culture that your current sales team have? And is it one that is pushing each other to peak performance, or is it one that is bringing everybody down? Right, and that's a question that you need to ask. And then, what's the process? What's the structure? What are the incentives that you have created? What are you rewarding? Are you rewarding the right type of thing? Are you rewarding activity, or are you rewarding results? Are you rewarding if somebody's performing much better than everybody else? Do they get a lot more? In terms of their salary, their bonuses, their commission structures, their public recognition, or are they treated equally with everybody else, right? Or is there somebody in the team that's underperforming, but because it's your buddy or your best friend or your mom or whoever, that person is being treated really nicely? Like, what are the incentives? How are people being paid? What do you reward? What do you highlight? What do you value in your sales team? That in itself, if it's structured the wrong way, can also make your sales team underperform really, really easily. So ask yourself why, use the 5 why method to get to the bottom of it. And then if it is, figure out, is it really about the sales team or is it about something bigger than that? If it is about the sales team, it's probably one of three or a combination of these three things. The type of people you hired, the type of culture you created, and the type of incentives that you've put in place. And if it is one of these things or a combination of it, you have to change it. First step to be able to do that and turn the sales team around is to take responsibility, right? You are responsible for this. Don't blame them. It's you. I remember an older, very experienced, very rich and wealthy sales manager once told me the story where a few people in his sales organization were acting up and really they were fucking things up in a really big way, and he got really pissed and really angry, and he went to the founder and he was just venting about these salespeople and how horrible they are and how crazy their performance recently was and all the fuck ups and everything. And the founder was listening, and CEO was listening very attentively and carefully and writing down a lot of notes. And by the end of that, he looked the sales manager in the eye and he said, all right, let's start at the beginning. Tell me, who was the moron who hired these idiots so we can fire that person first? Let's take care of the root of the issue. And then let's talk about all other things we need to do. In that moment, the sales manager stood up, turned around, and walked out of the room. Why? He got the message. He was the idiot that hired all these people. He is the problem. It was his mistakes So he needs to take responsibility and not blame the salespeople, right? So you need to take responsibility. That's step number one. That's the foundation of any change. Is somebody needs to assume responsibility, and it usually is you, right? It's the person in the mirror. So now that you've taken responsibility and you realize you hired these people, you helped create this culture, and you put the incentives in place, you need to figure out a way to change this. And the way to change it is not by mandate. You can't just tell people, hey, I realize, we made some mistakes in the way the sales team is working. I've put down 10 bullet points on how to change things. I've printed them out for you. So here's a piece of paper with 10 bullet points for all of you. Please read them and then please change. Thank you. Right? And then you walk out the door and you imagine that the sales team is magically going to turn around itself. That's not going to work. You're going to have to get in the trenches and lead from the front. And you need to demonstrate what you want the sales team to be instead of talking about it, right? It's that famous quote that don't be afraid about your children not listening to you. Be afraid about them watching you, right? So if you want change to happen, you need to be a change agent, and you can't just mandate that and tell people what to do. You have to show them with actions, because people are cynical and they don't believe. And if you make a big speech on how things are going to change, they're all going to sit there and go, let's wait and see. I'll believe it when I see it. So you need to make them believe by showing them, by making it happen in a way that their eyes can see, right? Not just their ears can hear. So you need to decide what needs to change, and then you need to infuse yourself in the team and help make that change happen, right? If you want to create a different culture and be more uplifting, be more positive, be in the middle of it and do it. If you want, more deals to be closed and better sales conversation to be had, be there and have these sales calls, close these deals, demonstrate the type of salesperson you want them to be by being that type of salesperson. And if you want their behavior to change and you want their focus to change, start incentivizing things with money. Put your money where your mouth is. So it's just telling them, I'd like you to act a little differently. Put your money where your mouth is and incentivize and reward that type of action. If somebody acts in a way that you like it, highlight it, tell that story, reward that person, put them on a pedestal, and let the team applaud them. Show what you truly value by incentivizing that behavior. And be transparent and authentic about it. Be honest with your team. Your team knows that things are shitty. Like if you have a sales team that's really underperforming, they know it. There's no two ways about it. They know it, and you know it. Everybody knows it. So don't pretend that it's not what it is. Be honest with people. Sit down and tell them, right now things suck. We're all not happy about this. I'm responsible for it, so I'm gonna help make a change. Who wants to join me and who doesn't? We're gonna turn this thing around because right now we suck. Just be honest, be real. Don't pretend everything is fine. Tell them that it isn't, but then show them how to make it great. And with that being said, you need sometimes you'll need to decide, if it's incentives, you'll have to make a change there, right? Maybe you have to change your commission structure, change the way you pay people, change the way you reward people. If it's your culture, it's a bit tougher, but the culture is really just the manifestation of the characteristics of these people that are in that team and the things that you incentivize. So with that being said, if you look at the hires, you might have to ask yourself, have I made wrong hires or not? And if you've made wrong hires, you might have to let one, two, or everybody go. And this always sucks. And all of us want to postpone this. All of us want to avoid this. This is one of the worst things in business, is letting people go. But it's necessary if you want to change and turn things around. And sometimes it's very easy. There's one person, one toxic person in the team, and you just need to get rid of them. And sometimes it might be a few people in the team that you're really doubtful about, and then you need to let go of these people. And sometimes, in rare cases, you might think the team is actually good. The culture and the incentives were really poor. So you change these two things first, and you see if the team and their performance changes. But you have to ask yourself, who do I truly still believe in? Who do I think is a really good person and a person that could be performing really, really well, and who not? With the people that you don't believe in anymore, where you believe you've made the wrong choices and you put them in a place where they can only fail, you have to make a difference. You have to make a change. You have to let them go. It's easy as that, right? And if when in doubt, let them go. With that being said, you want to bring in you might want to bring in outside forces. So that means hiring some flesh blood, some people that have energy, that have been tainted by the past failures, where you can wipe the slate clean and kind of infuse some fresh blood, fresh motivation, fresh energy into the team. So making some fresh new hires might be a really good thing at this point in order to turn the team around. Maybe it is bringing some senior management in, somebody that really has proven that they're a great sales leader and that can really do an amazing job at helping you turn things around. But don't put the onus on another person. Like a lot of times teams are like, oh shit, we hired the wrong sales manager. The sales team is really toxic and performs really poorly. So let go of the sales manager and we'll hire a new sales manager. And that new sales manager needs to fix everything. No, you need to be involved as a founder, CEO. The top leadership needs to get down and dirty and really be involved and be a change agent and take responsibility. Even when you bring in some more senior sales talent, you can't just put that task on somebody else's plate. You need to be part of it, even if you're just their assistant, but you need to work on this full time and with full focus until the sales team has turned around. But what you can do is you can infuse some fresh blood, but you can also bring in inspiration, help, advice from the outside, even without hiring people. Just ask yourself, who has a really amazing sales team? What companies, what founders, what other sales leaders do I know that are doing an amazing job with their sales teams, where their sales teams are crushing it, where they have great culture, great incentives, great hires, and go and learn from them. Go and ask them for advice. Bring them in to give a little prep talk to your team. Bring your team to their sales team and have them observe greatness. Ask an investor of yours or an advisor or somebody that has done this before to coach you, to help you, to give you advice, to give you feedback on your ideas, on your plan to turn things around. Ask for help, right? Bring fresh blood in. That's one step. The other step is ask other people outside your business, outside your company, outside your team for help. Ask them for inspiration, ask them for tactics, ask them for proven ways to make things work. And if you can find somebody that had a failing sales team and turned that team around, even better, go and learn from them. They've had the same problem you had and they turned it around and found a solution. Learn from these people and show them what is possible. Inspire them to believe by seeing it, that other teams are capable of doing this, by seeing that fresh blood that's coming in with this new incentive structure, this new processes, this new culture, that these new salespeople are generating results and are seeing success, and that will inspire other people to join and see success as well. And I'll finish with this little story. I've talked about this before, but there was a large sales team in a company that was doing sales very internationally. And that sales team was divided up in different country teams. And they were all working one large office space. And you would see like these different sales cubicles, and they had like little flags. So there was the Spanish team, and the German team, and the French team, and the US team. And they would all call into these different countries and speak these different languages. Kind of a cool sight. You walked in, it's like a huge sales team doing sales in all kinds of countries around the world. And they were seeing great success, but there was one country or one or two countries that had real difficulties, and their results were so different from the other countries. And that company was really struggling and really starting to believe, based on the reports and the feedback and the information that their local sales teams were giving them, that these countries are just not buying the way that they used to buy. And then they did something genius. What they did is they allowed these sales team in these different countries to keep doing what they're doing, but they brought in the best performing salespeople from other countries, and they brought them in to just sit next to them and work out of that cubicle. So that, let's say that the Spanish team that was really underperforming and that one guy from the British team come over that was a superstar and just sit there and still make calls into the UK and still close deals in English, while the Spanish people were doing their job in Spain speaking Spanish. And a funny thing happened. After just a few days of that, one person in the Spanish team, in that underperforming team, started closing deals and performing better. And what that person started performing better, the next person on the team started performing better, and then the next team. And all of a sudden, the entire fucking team started performing really well. Isn't that insane? All it took was for them to be exposed to success with intimacy, in close proximity, to see somebody crushing it, crushing it, crushing it, to start believing, and somebody got a little inspired, somebody got a little influenced by that, and then that person closed the deal. And once that happened, people started believing, because that problem was that the first person that was doing sales, or the first few people that were doing sales, they didn't believe. So what the think of things, the prove of proofs, they didn't believe. So they made that a reality, and then they started all telling themselves a story that in Spain, this product just doesn't work, until one person demonstrated success at such a level that somebody else started believing and then closing deals and crushing it in Spain. And it only took one person to make everybody believe, oh shit, this works. Spanish people will buy this. Isn't that a beautiful story? And this is really a great example for how to turn things around, with the power of belief and with the power of demonstration, not just telling people, well, other teams have great success, you should too. People don't believe that. Just put somebody close there that can inspire, that can influence, and once you have one case of success, that can turn the entire team around. All right, so these were some of the tactics, some of the strategies that you need to use to turn around an underperforming sales team. I'm sure there's many more stories to share, so make sure to leave a comment down or just shoot an email at stelly@close.io if you want to have more intimate dialogue. And yeah, I hope this was really useful. If you have tactics and stories to share, please do in the comment section. And make sure to go to blog.close.io and subscribe to the blog. We publish 2 to 3 times every single week with highly tactical and strategic advice on how to make you and your sales team crush it.